How can God love me?
What is my purpose?
What happens after death?
Why do bad things keep happening to me?
Who is God?
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Ask GHCC. This week we have a question that really touches all of us, and it centers around the subject of worry and fear. How do Christians, or anyone for that matter, deal with the constant fears and worries and pressures that we're facing in the world? First of all, I think it's helpful for all of us to acknowledge that fear and worry is a part of our life. This is what happens. We live in a scary world. Whether we're worried about tomorrow or losing our job or a disease that may come upon us, or whether we're worried about world events or what's happening to our country or is ISIS going to attack. There's so many things out there. We're living in an information age, too, where we are inundated with negative messages. And so this whole subject of fear and worry is very real. First of all, we need to understand that our handling of worry and fear is directly related to our view of God and directly related to our ability to hear Him, to trust Him, and to believe that He's a God that's really in charge. In the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew 6, Jesus said in verse 25, "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than about food, and the body more than clothes?" And he went on to say, look at the birds, look at the grass, look at creation. Doesn't God care for all these things? And yet He cares more about you than all of this. Part of the illustration here was, look at the birds and look at nature. Birds don't sit around on a tree chewing their beak or biting their toenails, worried about where their next meal is going to come from, or what the weather's going to be, or what the next event tomorrow is going to hold for them. They have a natural built-in trust. They know that each day their daily needs are going to be met. And that's why Jesus was using them. And so He said, if God cares for all of these things like this, what are you worried about? And then He also said, the pagans chase after and worry about all these things because they don't have God in their life. But you do. And God's promised that He will give you food, clothing, shelter, and whatever comes up in the future, He said, I will be there. Nothing will touch you except it's gone through my hands, and I will use what comes for a good purpose. You see, the difference is what Jesus illustrated one night in Mark chapter 4 when He took the disciples out on the lake into a terrible storm. Waves were crashing over the boat. The wind was howling. They thought they were going to drown. And it said Jesus had told them, let's go to the other side. But yet out in the middle of the lake, they were terrified because they hadn't listened to what Jesus said. He didn't say, let's go out in the middle of the lake and drown. He said, let's go to the other side. We need to hold on to God's word in the midst of troubled times and to be reminded of who He is and what He's promised. The other detail that Mark included was that when they went across the lake, there were other boats with them. And when Jesus asked them, why are you so afraid? It was as if He was asking them, look, you have me in your boat. Those other people don't. Why are you responding with the same fear they are? Doesn't my presence in your life, my promises to you, my word of assurance, does it not make any difference? And that's why Jesus said when it comes to fear and worry, you can't stop it from coming into your life. But listening to God's word, remembering who God is, and knowing that we can trust Him is the way that we can turn those worries and fears into faith, trusting and believing that God will do as He said. And however it goes, He'll be there and it will work out well in the end.
How can God love me?
What is my purpose?
What happens after death?
Why do bad things keep happening to me?
Who is God?